Okay, guys, this is um, the first video of our new section. Our new section is based on do-it-yourself, and we're going to do a lot of PC building, PC modding, water cooling, custom looping, and a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff, and even modifications in the cases. And we're going to experiment a lot. So it's going to be fun. I had fun making this video, and I had a lot of fun making this PC. It's an entry-level PC. That means that it's what you can start quite easily, and it's very value for money. I think it's the most value for money PC out there. Make it right now, and it's really upgradable. And I love it in white. You can see that how it looks in white color. That's why I called it Frozen. So this is Frozen 1, an entry-level PC, and we're going to start with the PC case, which I really loved. Is a Kolink Observatory white, the white version. So let's take a look at the PC case and whatever we're going to put inside, all the elements of the PC. So guys, the first thing we have to do is take the PC case and lay it on the back very gently, and start to unscrew so we can remove from the front. Now I want you to be very careful and take that in mind. Most of the videos that you are going to see on YouTube or any other media, they show the removal of the tempered glass when it's vertical, when the PC case is vertical, and that's so wrong, because at least 20% of the people that try to do that, they break the glass. It's very delicate. So in order to avoid that, please lay it on the back, remove the screws, and gently try to lift it a little bit, take it out of the place, lift it very gently, and place it somewhere where you're going lay it down somewhere that it's going to be safe. Remember, it's very delicate and you don't want to break it. It's very difficult to replace it, and I've seen a lot of PC cases without the tempered glass. Now on the top you can see that there is this filter. It's a magnetic filter, very easy to remove and very easy to place it again. This is where I'm going to place the new two fans that we're going to place. Now this is the front panel. The front panel, it has the start button, reset button, the power button, reset button. It also has two USB 2, I think, and there is one USB 3, and also it's the microphone and the headphones. It's two jacks, 3.5 I believe. So this is the front panel. We're going to talk about it later when we're going to do the connections. So let's go to the next step. So now let's remove the back panel. That's the next move. Take the screwdriver and loose a little bit the two screws that are holding the back panel, and then use your hands to unscrew it and remove it. Don't worry, this is not going to fall, so there is no problem. And since you finished unscrewing the screws, place them somewhere where you can easily find them, and all you need to do is slide it a little bit from the front to the back. Just try to slide it, don't push it very hard. You don't need to push it very hard, just try to slide it. It's going to slide from to the back. There is a handle there you can use. Slide it, don't push it, don't force it to go out, because it might hurt some metal pins that are inside holding it. Just try to slide it on the back until it's loose, and that's it. It's off. Now gently place it somewhere safe so it doesn't scratch or anything. And let's take a look at what we have here. I see plenty of room. It's really nice, a really nice PC case. Now we have the cables for the three fans in front, and there is this connector, RGB connector for the 3 fans, for all the fans actually. It has 6 places. Now I see here there is a metal plate that actually I do not need to have that. I don't need it. Let's unscrew that and see what's behind. I don't need to have that back plate. I don't need it at all. So I'm going to remove it. Okay, that's beautiful. We have two more holes that we can pass some cables if we want. Actually, those holes are going to be very useful if you are using a mini ATX motherboard, because you can put the cables from there. Now I see a big opening here behind the process, the CPU. Actually, you can use that if you want to change the cooler of the CPU, and you need to install some backplate on there if it's some heavy cooler. It's quite nice. And those 2 holes, what else do we have? We have the holes on the top that actually are going to pass the cables from the 2 fans that we are going to place, and we can pass the cable from the fan, the RGB fan that we have pre-installed on the back. So that's it actually. That's ready. So we have already 4 fans to connect to the RGB connector, and all we need to do is start placing the new 2 fans on the top. So guys, I placed the PC case again on the back. It's more convenient for me, and those are the 2 fans that are going to install now. I've requested from Kolink to bring me the same type that they are pre-installed inside, but you can do the same process with any RGB fans or simple fans that you want to do in your PC case, in your building. Now there are a lot of ways to place them, but you have to be careful about a few things. First of all, make sure that it's placed so it's going to drag air out of the box, of the case, and make sure that you're going to place the cable correct. The angle that you're going to place is going to be placed so the cable is near the exit, the 2 holes that you can see in this case. So make sure about that. And then we're going to connect them all to the RGB connector, the RGB controller. Actually, that's what it's like. First step: remove the filter, the magnetic filter on the top. That's the first thing we're going to do, and this is the place that we're going to screw the fans. You can see where we're going to put them, and there are actually 2 places that you can do. One is closer to the front panel, rubber glass, and the other one is closer to the back. What we're going to do is place them, and always do that, place them on the front as much as you can on the front of the PC case. And first thing is, place the cable that we're going to actually pass the cable from the opening that you can see. It's the same opening that we have passed the cable from the fan on the back. We do that, and just hold it up there, hold it against the top of the PC case, and then just slide it a little bit, take the top of the PC case and drag it a little bit up, so you can see the up side of your PC case. I have to do a little bit the cable so it can actually come out on the other side, so it doesn't go in my way. I don't have it in my way. And what we're going to do, we're going to see that we can see the holes or where we're going to place the screws. Find not exactly, but approximately where do you want the first one to be placed, because as you can see, you're going to see that we will be able to move it a little bit forward or backward depending on when it's more fitted for us to place it. So hold it there, take the screw and align the hole with the screw hole, place it, and then a little bit, tight it a little bit, try to screw a little bit, not all the way down, so we can move it backwards and forwards later on. So do that, take the next screw. I'm going to do that with 2 screws, so I don't have to have 4 of them. It's time saving. So we place the second screw, we align it. You can see actually where we are going to put it. Align it, something like that. That's it. Now I'm going to do that. I'm not going to screw it all the way. I'm just going to leave it a little bit loose for the moment. A little bit loose. But enough to hold it. So the first one is already in place. As you can see, I can move it a little bit forward or backward. Just let me unscrew a little bit so I can move it. You can see how this can be moved. You can see it can be moved a little bit. You can see that from the screws that it's moving. When we are finalizing the position, we're going to tie them up. So let's do the same with the second. Let's do the same with the second one. Actually, I'm going to tie them a little bit now. I don't think I'm going to move it away. I think that's the perfect place for the first one. So I'm going to tie them up. Try not to squeeze and put a lot of force, just enough so when you see that doesn't go any more further, that should be perfect. So we do the same, take the second one, and we're actually going to do the same process as we did. First pass the cable. Remember, choose the corner when you place it that it's actually near to the hole, so you don't have cables in your way inside the PC case in the front. Pass the cable, then place it. It's quite easy actually. If you haven't done it, you're going to find it's quite easy. It's not so complicated. Now try to place it in alignment with the first one, and when you see the screws, the holes for the screws, place a screw and do the same process as we did in the first one. It's actually quite easy. It's not so complicated. I think you find it quite easy. It's probably the easiest one of what we're going to do today. And remember, don't tie them all the way until you finalize the position. because you might need to change it a little bit and push it a little bit back or forward or backwards, depending on how it looks and how you want them to work. I told you, don't push them away too far. When you see it's enough, it's enough. Then we place the filter again and it's ready. Our two fans are actually placed, and we pass the cables from the back. As you can see, we have all the cables from the 6 fans that we have. We have 6 fans installed now, and all we need to do is connect them to the RGB fan controller that's coming with the box. It has 6 places, so we're going to actually fill all the places. Now gently turn the box around. We see the cable. I'm going to fast forward a little bit this process. You can see those are the cables coming from the top of the case. Those are going to be connected to its 4 pins and are going to be connected to the controller. Those are the 3 cables coming from the front fans, from the fans that they're pre-installed in the front. Just take the controller. The connection is quite easy. There is first of all, you can see that there are 6 places and there have numbers, so you can actually number them. I'm doing the number clockwork, placing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there are 6 places. So I'm going to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are numbers on them: fan 1, fan 2, fan 3, fan 4, fan 5. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there's actually numbers on them. So if something goes wrong and you want to replace one, you don't have to do a lot of work finding out which one is it. You'll be able to figure that out. So let's take the first one. I'm going to start with the one on the lower one from the front, and place it on the first one where it says fan 1. It's quite easy. It's a 4-pin, but there is a small gap. If you can see that, there is a small gap, so there's actually no way you can place it the wrong way. There's only one way you can place you can connect the cable to the controller. So it's not going to be too complicated. It's quite easy. Just make sure not to align them, the 4 pins, align them, and then use your 2 fingers to press it. You're going to see that it's going all the way down, and it's finished. So for the power supply, chose on the Corsair CX650F RGB model. Let's take a look inside. So we have the motherboard, this connection. This is a CPU and PCI. We have 2 slots here. Now we have the SATA. We have 3 connections for SATA, hard drives, and another pair of PCI and CPU. So it's a beautiful box, really nice. I love it. We'll start with the motherboard connection. You can see the cables, really nice white cables with black pins I love that. I love that power supply from Corsair, guys. Very reliable. I really like the colors. If you are going to build something in white, and I think it's the most value for money, and you can't expect a great performance from that CPU. It's quite easy to connect the cable for the motherboard to give power to the motherboard. That's the main cable. Just be sure you align the clicks there and press with both hands at the same time until you hear the click. That will be fine. That's ready. This is the most difficult cable because it's a little bit hard to maneuver around, and it's a little bit stiff, so that's fine. And now what we need, you will have to find the cable that is going to write. It has a small label, CPU. It's an 8-pin cable, and we are also going to connect that before we install the power supply in the box. Before we put the box, make sure you have the correct cable. Actually, you cannot make any mistakes. It's quite simple. You'll not face any problems. Do the same, click it, and that's about it. That's the main power cables that we're going to need now. There is plenty of space later on to add the cable for your graphic card and the PCI slot, and there is also room for a Molex cable in the SATA to connect in the RGB thing here. Now let's take the screws. Those are black. It's gonna fit perfect for this white black. Perfect. So gently take it. It's a little bit heavy, but don't worry. No worries. Leave it on the side, and I'm gonna bring the case, the PC case installation. That's it. There is also there is an opening there where actually you can pass the cable for the GPU. We're not going to use that for now. We're going to use it later when we're going to install a GPU later on, not in this video, in another video. But for the moment, just place it, take it to the back and align the holes that is already on the case, so they fit. Align them so they fit with the holes in the PSU, and we're going to install it. We're going to put the screws in, make it a little bit stable. It's not that hard, guys. It's quite easy. It's quite easy. No sweat. If you're a novice in this, if it's your first case, don't worry about that. The only thing is to make sure that you have the fan facing down, and that's all you need. Put the screw under the screwdriver. It's magnetic. It doesn't matter which one is going to be the first, but make sure that you are going to secure that first one and continue with the other three. I really like those Corsair. They're very value for money, very dependable. I've never faced any problem with that. And there is also I think this model, the CX650F, it's coming with also a 750 watt model, If you're going to use a little bit more, if you need a little bit more power to your build, then you can use that. There is a little bit difference in the price. I'm using that because I don't need a lot. This is an entry level PC, but if in the future you need some more power, yeah, you maybe want to change that with the CX750. But for the moment, I'm quite satisfied with that. It's going to support any GPU I'm going to put. I don't have any problems with that. Even if I use a 3060 or whatever I'm going to use as a GPU. So make sure it's all stable, screw tight, and we're ready for the next step. Okay, this is our motherboard. This is the ASRock B550 Pro 4, the ATX, guys. The ATX, not micro, not mini, the ATX, full ATX. Another estimated one. Let's open the box. So if you're not familiar with a certain card, guys, I suggest you read the manual, or if it's the first time that you're building a PC, read the manual. Now gently take it out of the box and place it on the top. It comes with let's open this. It comes this bag. This is a protection bag for any static electricity, so it's keeping it safe. Take the rest out of the way so we can work on that. We're going to put them on the motherboard, the CPU, hard drive, and the RAM. Now open the bag and gently take it out. And I cannot stress out how I mean that gently. Don't put a lot of pressure on the parts of the motherboard. You may damage something that you really don't want to. There is a protection foam, something like a sponge or something. Nevertheless, make sure that your hands don't put a lot of pressure on any of the parts of the motherboard. Take the bag out and place it on the top of the box. That's what a lot of the PC builders do that. Let's remove the stripes that holds on this sponge. Just give me a minute to cut them off. So it's time for the CPU, the heart and soul of our system, and the first thing is to put the gloves on, guys. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you have noticed, I'm using plastic gloves with no powder on. Remember that, no powder on. That means that we can handle all the elements. And not be afraid of the static electricity that may damage some of them. Most of them are quite sensitive on the static electricity. We don't want that. Always use some type of gloves like that. You can see them in a lot of videos. A lot of people are using it. And remember, no powder on that. Make sure they fit right. And let's take a look now. Let's take a look. First thing, the CPU. Most of you have already seen a lot of videos probably of how to install the CPU. Now we're going to do that. Let's open the box. And my choice is the 5600 of the 5 series of the AMD RYZEN. It comes with integrated graphics, and this is what I prefer all the time. I prefer to use processors with integrated graphics, and I'm going to explain in details later on why I do that. So let's see, there is the fan. It comes with a fan, and that's it. That's the AMD RYZEN 5600Z. It has 6 cores, 12 threads. It runs as a base with 3.9 gigahertz, but you can boost that up to 4.4 gigahertz. So it's quite nice. Even if you want to play games, it's quite nice. It's I believe the most value for money with integrated graphics at the moment that we're filming this, and I would suggest to start with something like that, and you can always move up to even a 5700Z or X. Any of the X can do that. That means with no integrated graphics, but you can move up to 5900X if you need more power in your system and you have a separate graphic card. But this is the most value for money that you can buy now with integrated graphics. And why am I using integrated graphics? Because even if something happens to your graphic card, your GPU, you always have a computer to work or play with until you replace it, or maybe maintain, take it to maintenance, or maybe there's something wrong with your GPU and you need to take it out. You'll still have a computer to work with or play your games with the integrated graphics. Now this is the fan that comes with, the cooler fan that comes with the box, and this is, I'm not going to change that, I'm going to use that, I'm going to install this. It's really nice, comes from AMD itself, and it's really reliable, very stable, very nice cooler fan. If you're going to press your computer all the time, it might you may need to change that in another model later on, but for the moment it's quite fun. Now you can see where this is going to be connected. There is a 4-pin on the top of your motherboard where the cable is going to be. That's the correct way that we're going to install that certain fan, because if you put it on the other side, you'll see that the cable and the AMD mark is going to cover a little bit the one of our RAM slots, the first one. So I don't like that, it's going to be too crowded, so I'm going to put it on the other side. And it comes with pre-installed thermal paste, so you don't need to put any extra. This will do fine. It should be fine. So let's place it back. We're going to install the CPU first. Take it out of the way for the moment, and let's concentrate on the CPU. Okay. So now, first thing is remove this metal thing. Push it a little bit down, it's going to come out, and leave it on 90 degrees up. It's going to stay up 90 degrees, and you can notice here there is a mark on one of the corners, a white mark on our motherboard. This is very important because it's going to indicate how you're going to place the CPU or the processor. If you open now the CPU, and I cannot stretch how gentle you must be. It's not that hard, but you must be gentle a little bit. Make sure you're going to hold. Now this is a processor. You can see here there is a gold mark on the one of the corners. So actually what we have to do is align the two corners, the one on the motherboard and the one on the CPU. Those corners, align them. You have to make sure you're going to align those two. Make sure you get it on the side, not on under or on the side, and gently place it on the top and align the corners. Very gently, and the gravity is going to take care of everything. And that's it. That's it. Perfect. Gravity takes care of everything. Beautiful. I really like that. Now take this metal thing back on its place and we're finished, guys. Finished. The CPU is installed in our system. We're going to move to the next step. Remember, alignment. The corner, the gold, and the one on the motherboard. So let's move to the next step, and this is installing the RAM. And I have the Corsair VENGEANCE PRO. It's an RGB set, quite nice, white color. I think it's going to fit really nice into our system. And also it's an RGB, lifetime guarantee. I've worked with this model a lot of times and I'm quite satisfied, guys. It's a little bit big, needs some space, but it's quite nice. And it's if you're setting up something in white or black and white and you like RGB, then I truly suggest it. It's very value for money. So let's open this. Quite nice. I really like them. I really like them. So two sets of 8 gigabytes, guys, and it's going to have, we are going to install 16 gigabytes total, dual channel. If you haven't installed any RAM, you'll find out there is a small gap in the middle, and there is only one way you can fit that inside. Align the gap with the small with the base of the RAM there. So actually there is only one way. Align the gap with a small metal, small plastic thing here. Now if you are going to use only 2 of the 4 spaces for the RAM, probably you're going to use the 2nd and the 4th for your first set. Later on you can fill the rest of the spaces, but if you're going to put only 2 of them in dual channel, use the 2nd and the 4th from the processor. It's quite simple. You open those plastic stops on the sides. You make sure that you have the alignment correct vertically, and press with both hands until you hear a click, and that's it. That's what actually it's quite easy to install. Even if you haven't ever done that yet, it's quite easy to install the RAMs. Make sure you align correctly, you hear the click until they cannot move, and those 2 plastic things are back securing the RAMs, and that's it. we are ready. Now we're going to put our cooler, a fan cooling system for our processor. We're going to remove those plastic things that they have on the two sides of the processor, up and down. We don't need them. Make sure to keep them somewhere inside. Do not throw anything. We've said that again. Do not throw anything. Just remove the two plastic, I don't know how they are called. Really don't. But we don't need them for the moment. It's quite easy to remove them, just 4 screws. And that's it. Okay, now let's take the fan. It came with the processor, the RYZEN 5600G. That's the one that comes with in the box with the processor. Now we have the cable. We already saw that the cable is going to go up on the top of our motherboard. There is a 4-pin that says CPU fan. So actually it's not, you're not going to miss it. If you don't find it, make sure that you read the manual. Now there are 2 ways to put this on the processor. Now in this particular fan, the AMD that it's written on the above, if you install it, it's going to cover one of the RAM spaces. I don't need that. That's why I'm going to put it. So actually the name AMD on the top is going to face the heatsink on the other side. So make sure that when you're going to install the cooler fan on the processor, it doesn't cover up any spaces on the RAM. This is one of the most common things that happens when you do. Now installing it's quite easy. You're going to align the 4 screws and remove. Now you can see that there is already thermal paste installed on the cooler, on the fan, on the back of the fan, so we don't need to install any more. And then we align the screws with the holes and start screwing. Make a few turns on the one corner and then you move on the opposite corner. Make 3 or 4 or 5 turns so you can distribute the pressure evenly in the corners. Don't screw all the way down, just a few, 5 or 6 times, doing the same on the next one. Then go back on the opposite corner, creating something like an X, and you repeat the process. You go back to the first one and you repeat the process until you are going to feel that there is no it doesn't take anymore. So you don't actually we pressure a little bit, but we do not put a lot of pressure. We do not put a lot of force screwing that. Okay, make sure that you follow the steps. So you distribute actually it's about the thermal paste and how it's distributed all over the processor evenly, and that's why we're doing that. Repeat the process until there is no more you can feel it that it doesn't take anymore, and that's it. That's ready. So hard drive, we have an M.2 SSD drive, the Samsung 980 with 5 gigabyte. And it's I think it's the most common that you're going to find to install your operating system, installing the Windows, and this one. It's quite easy, guys. It's quite easy. We're going to follow that. Let's open the box. It's one of my favorites, very value for money. It works pretty fine. It doesn't work with really large files, so if you're working with videos, video editing, or stuff like that, this is not the recommendation. Actually, you're going to move to another level, go to the Pro version of the same SSD, but for the operating system is really nice, very fast. You'll be amazed how fast this goes. So we have 2 spaces, but we're going to use one of them. Our motherboard have 2 spaces for installing M.2 SSD hard drive. We're going to use the one that it already has a heatsink on the top. That's the one close to the CPU. Let's open it. My next videos, I'm going to make that with time lapse, so we will not repeat all this process. So that's it. We have to remove the heatsink first. That's the first move. You'll need a smaller screwdriver, Phillips, because those are a little bit smaller. The heads are a little bit smaller. So remember, do not lose them. Actually, it's quite easy to lose them. They're very, very small. So careful about that. Most of them have 2 screws. Remove them very gently. Very gently. Make sure you don't lose them. It's giving me a little bit of trouble. Okay, that's it. Remember to put them somewhere where you can easily find them. Don't lose them. So let's open the box. Take the hard drive. I cannot repeat how gently you must be. Now you can see there is only one way that you can actually install the hard drive. There is a gap. So in the one way that we're going to put the hard drive, and the other way, the other side, it's still the one side, and the other side there is a head off. We're going to use one of the screws that it's coming from with the motherboard. Depending on how long the hard drive is, you're going to need to install, or they're already pre-installed, head offs, and there are spaces in the motherboard where you can actually install the head off. That represents the length of the hard drive that we're going to use. So you know how we're going to install the head off. It's quite easy. It's a small screw. You're going to use your hand for that. It doesn't require a lot of power. It's quite easy. It's some motherboards, those are already pre-installed. In ours it didn't. Now, and you have or in our box we had 3 screws for that, and the one is using for the one M.2 drive, the second one is for the second M.2 drive, and the third one is because our motherboard has the ability to get a Wi-Fi adapter installed, an M.2 adapter. It had 3 of those screws that is going to secure the hard drive on the head off. So we have the head off installed. Well, the next step is to take the drive. There is only one way we can install that. And again, I'm going to tell you that be really gentle with that. It's quite easy. You'll see a small gap in the connection. You have to slide it in the space that you're going to see in the middle of the motherboard, and you have to align the gap. A little bit pressure, doesn't need a lot. It's going to slide right away, and it's going to stay up in a 30-degree angle. It usually does. And we're going to take one of the screws that comes in the box. As I have told you, they are so small, so you have to be careful a little bit because they are quite small. That's why we're using magnetic screwdrivers. Let's take one of them off. This is what I like about this motherboard, has everything inside, so I really like them. Gently put it, really gently. You're going to take down the hard drive. It's in a 30 degrees. You're going to press it a little bit that it hit the head sink, the head off, and you are going to screw and secure it in place. Yeah, you don't need a lot of pressure, just secure it until you feel back it up a little bit. So next we're going to take the heatsink, remove the plastic so we can reveal the thermal pad underneath. You can see how it looks like. Remove the plastic. Remember to remove the plastic, guys, because otherwise it doesn't work. We have to see the thermal pad, turn it around, and you're gonna see quite easily. Align the screws and put it back. So actually now the thermal pad is going to cover our hard drive and keep it cool, so it can work more effectively. It's quite easy, guys. It's quite easy. If you have done it one time, then you're gonna see that you can actually do anything you want. with your PC. It's quite easy. You can put another hard drive on the other spot. You can change your hard drive. We're going to see how later on. We're going to do some videos about how we can clone one to another, add more RAM, change our cooler fans and stuff like that. So put the screwdriver, the screws, and you don't need a lot of pressure, just until it can go no more. Don't pressure it, guys. Do not pressure anything on the motherboard. Just a little bit until it's secure enough, and that's it. That's it. Make sure it's secure. When you hit the end, just a little bit pressure so it's secure in space, and that's all you need, nothing more. So we're ready to put our motherboard in the box, guys. Ready for the next step. So the last phase, my fellow citizens, the first thing we have to do is put the metal shield on the back of our PC case for the ports coming out from it's the cover for the ports coming out of the motherboard. Be careful, it's a little bit bendy, so don't bend it. Make sure it's aligned correctly. Make a small test so it's aligned, the ports are aligned to the holes on the metal shield, and then you'll just it doesn't need anything more than a small push. You align that to the hole on the back of the case and just push it a little bit until you hear a click. Make sure that it's correct in all the lines. Just push it from the edges, not from the middle. That's about it. Make sure it's all clicked, and that will be fine. And that's all. But remember, make sure that you have aligned the holes in the way that the motherboard is going to come in place, because it's going to be difficult to remove it and put it back again. Next step is gently pick up the motherboard. Please gently. I cannot stress that enough. Gently. Now I've already measured that I can fit it without disturbing the fans. In some cases you need you are going to install the motherboard first and the fans on the top later on, or cooler system, hydro cooler system in AIO, but we don't need to do that. Now you have to push a little bit until all the ports are going to come out from the metal shield on the back of that align them with the standoffs and start screwing. That's it. Quite simple. In the ATX motherboards you need 9 screws, 9 holes. You have to align them and screw them. Do not press very hard, guys, just secure it enough. When you feel it's a little bit force against the screwdriver, then push it a little bit, and that's it. So we are actually ready. all we need to do now is pass the cables from the back of the case through the holes, and we have to make sure where each cable is going to be, so to choose the correct holes that we're going to push the cables. And that's it. That's the back of the case, and that's what we're going to do. And first things first, guys, what do we have? We have the motherboard, we have the PC, the CPU power. It's going in the top left, top right corner, and we have also the motherboard. Give power to the motherboard, and that's the big one. We have already talked about it. It's a little bit hard and stiff because it has a lot of cables, smaller cables, wrapped up in the sleeve, and it's a little bit stiff. It's going to be the harder to maneuver around and fix it. Try to connect that. Actually, in this phase, this is not the correct hole. It's the middle one, but during my when I was recording this, I made a mistake, so I put it on the wrong hole. Actually, it goes in the middle in most cases in the ATX. Now the CPU goes on the top right corner, as I've told you. In most of the cases, that's where it's going to be. 99% of the motherboard. This is how it's going to be. Now this is coming from this is the USB 3 from the front panel port, and those are actually, this is the USB 2 from the front panel, and the sound. And we're going to see that it's we're going to use the holes on the bottom, that it's going to go right on the down side of our motherboard. So it's going to be the rest of the cables from the front panel that's going to give power, the power button, the reset button, and the LEDs that indicates that the hard drive is working and the system is power on or power off when the LED is off. And there is also one cable that we're going to connect with the RGB controller in this specific case. It's very easy to find it. It's actually it's on the top. And this is going to be useful because there is a button that you control the RGB, although there is this is the one. It's very easy to connect. It's the 2-pin connection, and that's it. That's ready, all ready. And you can actually control your RGB lighting from the bottom on the top of the front panel without using the remote control that comes with this particular box PC case. So that's actually the same. Don't worry about this mess, we're going to fix that. We're going to see how we can fix the cables, do cable management later on. But for the moment everything seems to be in place. And the cables are waiting for us in the front of the PC case. All we need to do is pass those cables. Make sure, do not drag them with a lot of force, guys. Be gentle with them so you don't do any damage in the connections. and we have to push them also from the bottom. There are holes that is going to go right where the ports are waiting for us for the connection. It's quite simple. If you have done it one time, then it's going to be very easy for you to do that every time you need to make changes. So that's it, the first cable, guys. Motherboard power. Usually you're going to use, in the ATX models, you're going to use the middle one. It's not difficult. Push until you hear the click. There is a small plastic thing that is going to secure that. Press with both hands, both fingers, until you hear the click. The same goes for the CPU, and make sure it's an 8-pin connector, and make sure that you are going to choose the left one. As you are watching the motherboard, the left one, the left port. Make sure that you're going to choose the left port. The same thing, we're going to hear a click, and that's it. USB 3. There is only one way you can put that. You'll figure this out. There is no other way to make the connection. It's right under the motherboard connector. So this enables the front panel USB 3 port. Now this is a little bit tricky because the cables are so small. We have the USB 2. We have connected in the middle. Somewhere in the middle you'll find it on your manual, and also there might be an indicator on the board. The left one on the left side, as you saw, it's the HD sound, and on the right corner of the motherboard is the power. I believe it's first is the reset button, then is the power button, and you don't need to care about polarity, and the connection are vertical. Now the indicators are finished. We have to do a little bit of now we have finished the connections. All we need to do is make a little bit cable management. I'm going to fast forward this because it's going to take some time. You're going to see the finished product in a minute, and that's it. That's the best I could do with this box, and I think it's quite fine. I mean, everything is in order, very easily to figure this out. It's not the best, my best work, but it's quite fine. Now all we have to do, since we are finished, is place the back shield of the. Make sure that you align there are some metal strings. Align them and just slide it, and it goes all the way. That's it. We're going to take the screws that we have removed. We're going to start screwing with our fingers. It's quite easy, and then tie them up with the screwdriver. We are almost ready, guys. Second one on the top. Those are pretty much in this category of PC cases. That's pretty much this is the whole process. It's quite easy, guys. Just tighten them up a little bit with a screwdriver. Maybe it's going to take a little bit, and that's it. Now, tempered glass. I cannot stress enough how gentle you have to be with this one. Make sure you clean it before you have installed the inside. because it has, for sure it's going to have some dust in it, or fingerprints on it, whatever it has. Clean it from the inside, then place it, align the holes so we can secure it with the screws. That's beautiful. Clean it a little bit. Since this is going to be sold in here in the market, I'm not going to remove the tamper glass indicator on the left corner, but this is something that you are going to do when you have finished. This black triangle. So you align it, take the screws that we have removed on the first few minutes of our video, tie it with your fingers. You don't need to use a screwdriver in this particular phase. Only with your fingers. It's going to be tied up. There is a plastic on the bottom. It can absorb anything. And we're already finished, guys. We are so close to put it, give it power with the power cable and turn it on. As soon as I'm going to finish, you're going to see the video when it's the whole thing is finished, and I closed all the lights so you can see the RGB effects that comes with the PC case, and the two fans that we have, the extra fans that we have installed on the top. So it's pretty much finished, guys. We managed to complete a full custom PC build, fully functional, and let's see what have we done. And that's it, guys. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Actually, it's more impressive than I was thinking about. It doesn't have a GPU for the reasons I have already mentioned. It's beautiful. So until the next time, stay safe. Until the next video, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe and follow Citizen Alive on Instagram. Beautiful white, the frozen one. Beautiful. So guys, make sure you subscribed. Thank you for watching.